This is the Lowco FC podcast. Here are your hosts, Kerr and Misael Garzon.
And welcome to another episode of Lowco FC. Kerr joined by Misael Garzon. We're covering all things soccer here in Beaufort, Jasper, Hampton, and Colleton, everywhere here in the Lowcountry. We're here to talk all things football or soccer, whatever you prefer. And Misa, how are you doing here tonight?
Hey, I'm good. Glad to be back here. We are live, but this is the first time we're live on Lowco FC history. So thanks for joining us. But I'm excited as we've seen. It's been a fun season so far in the Lowco with our soccer team. So I'm excited to get right into it.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of excitement, especially, in our South Carolina high school 4A landscape, but really all across, as we'll get to in an interview with Coach Josh Fox over at JPII boys, having a fantastic start to their season. And before we get to him, let's just run down some of the major headlines here of this Lowco soccer season so far. And you get to see it because I was out at my river. But how about the Bluffton girls soccer team? An upset win over James Island 4-3. They were down 3-1 in rally in the second half to top the Trojans, one of the state championship contenders here, and absolutely one of the top teams here in Class 4A once again. And just an enormous win for that program, especially after we saw them struggle against Lucy Beckham 5-0. What an effort and what a phenomenal comeback by this Bluffton girls squad.
Yeah, no, it was a great response, losing 5-0 to Lucy Beckham, like you said, and then being down 3-1 to the two-time defending state champions. And James Island, if I'm not mistaken, had not lost a region game up to this point since they've been in 4A 2 years ago. So it was a great response by the girls. I chatted with Coach McCarthy during the week after that game and just talking about it. And he spoke about the resilience the girls showed and, stepping up to the challenge and just saying, okay, this is make or break for our season. And let's go out there and show what we got. And they scored, 3 unanswered goals in the second half to get a come-from-behind win. That is huge. That obviously is going to make that region that much more difficult. As we've seen, May River girls have been very competitive with James Island, Lucy Beckham, and they're also right in the thick of things. So what we expected to be a very tough and difficult region just became even tougher and more difficult with that result. And then we saw James Island, Lucy Beckham played the other night, Friday night. That game was not officially finished due to an injury. So we're still waiting the results of that game to see kind of what the region stands in the first half of what's to be a tough region. But congrats to Coach McCarthy. Congrats to the girls on 3 goals in the second half against the state champions at home is a big result to get at home. And it's going to be huge for them and heading into the second half of the season in region play.
Yeah, what an atmosphere that must have been. Dan, wish I could have saw it, but you only can get to one game at a time because everyone plays seemingly at the same times each week and each day. But Gwyneth Townsend with 2 goals in that game and a couple others contributing as well. Jocelyn and Bryn, I believe, scoring 1 goal each for that Bluffton side. So tremendous come from behind victory for the Bobcats, who I think are right there at one of the top teams alongside James Island and Lucy Beckham. Excited to see that rematch goes at the Bengals after that tough defeat. But I think they've really, after that huge penalty kick win over Hilton Head, I think that really kind of reinvigorated that squad. I think they're on the right track now, and that's a statement victory in really every sense of the word for Bluffton. And then how about Bridges Prep, the boys starting the season undefeated? I mean, we've got a bunch of soccer talent here in the Lowcountry. I mean, it's not just Class 4A in the South Carolina High School League. We have talent from top to bottom, and Bridges Prep would start. They're 9-0-1 on the year, and they keep rolling. It recently got a 10-0 win at Whale Branch, and then won 5-1 at Royal Live Oaks. So what a start there for the Bucks. They will be back in action on Tuesday. So exciting development for Bridges Prep.
Yeah, it's been kind of a surprise in 1A soccer, how the season that they're having. And Coach Bruce is doing a phenomenal job with that group. Like I said, they're undefeated so far in the season, and they're winning the games that they are scheduled, and they're winning the region games, which is more important. So I expect them to have continue this success and then have a deep run in the playoffs in 1A. But yeah, it's been a pleasant surprise to see Bridges Prep kind of come out of nowhere because nobody really had them in preseason as a very, very high ranking team. You have Royal Volks, who has been a traditional strong 1A team that's in the region. Like you just said, a big 5-1 win this past week. And so they're just kind of putting their foot down and saying, hey, we're in a very tough lower state region because they have a very tough and competitive region that they're in. And we're kind of just cruising along and making a statement that, lower state for 1A soccer might have to come through Bridges Prep.
Yeah, it's a terrific start for the Bucks, and Timothy English with a nice first few games of his season, 8 goals already. A couple, we see some upperclassmen and then some young guys really stepping up in the scoring department, like Austin Lazine. So they've got a ton of talent over there at Bridges Prep, and good to see that program on the right track this year because it's great to shine a light on some of the other squads, all these 1A teams that are finding their groove, and Bridges Prep is making quite a statement early on in their season. But let's get to this JP2 boys team, and we've got their head coach here to talk about their fantastic start to the 2023 season. So let's get Josh Fox here with us here on Lowco FC. Coach Fox, congratulations on a terrific start to your 2023 campaign. How are you doing down here tonight?
Doing great. It's good to see you guys. A long-time listener, first-time caller type thing. This is exciting. It's exciting. And then I hear that the live bomb's getting dropped. So I couldn't be in a better place right now, guys.
Yeah, no, you're our first guest for live. Congratulations.
Yeah. Here for our maiden voyage here in terms of the live show department. And what a start for you guys. 6-1 so far in the season. A couple of dominant wins over Northwood Academy and then Coastal Homeschool. What's your assessment so far in the first month of the campaign?
I'll be honest with you, coming into this season, we were feeling pretty good coming off of a lot of success last year, actually, probably the most success the program's seen. But we did lose some seniors in some key spots. So, there were some questions, but those questions got answered pretty early on in our training sessions. And honestly, a lot of them before we even had our first game played. This group is good. It's a different group. A lot of the same guys, but there's a different camaraderie about them. They came together much more quickly. Like I said, we're missing some key spots, but we got guys stepping up to fill them in, and the boys are doing it all together. So it's a good place to be a month in. We got a lot of season left, but it's a good place to be at this point.
Yeah, now, Coach, speak on that transition. Last year with the probably one of the most successful seasons that JP2 soccer has had on the boys' side, and the way it ended. How you guys have been able to just kind of, with the key pieces you've lost, to pick up where you left off. What has been the most impressive part of you, of the new players that have stepped in and kind of taken those roles that you were kind of concerned about or heading into the season?
I'll be honest with you. The number one thing that hops into my mind is when you lose a goalkeeper like Evan Slusny, that's quite the hole to fill. And Austin O'Quinn has stepped up this year, and it was interesting because nobody really knew what to expect because of how dominant Evan was. Austin didn't see a lot of minutes last year, and he understood his role, and he worked his tail off behind the scenes in practice, and he showed up this year, and we got 2 goalkeepers on the roster, and he knew that spot was wide open, and he's grabbed onto it, and he has really earned the respect and the trust of not only the coaching staff, but his teammates have all rallied around him. So it's been really cool to see that happen. That's a big one. I mean, other than that, we lost some speed, we lost some leadership, but come on, Coach, you know that new speed and leadership shows up every year.
About reloading at the same time as getting your veterans in good shape, and then seeing what you have with some of your youth. And man, talent just gets better year in, year out here in the Lowco. And it is great to see Jackson Ogden back out there, back on the soccer pitch after he suffered injury during football season, missed majority of if not all, basketball, and now back out here for the soccer campaign. That's got to be so cool, to witness him back out there and just to be there for his recovery and the process and all that it took to overcome an injury earlier on in the school year. So, I mean, just how proud of you How proud are you of what Jackson Ogden has done this year?
Jackson, that kid is a gamer. He really is. Whether no matter what uniform he's wearing, no matter what sport he's playing, he shows up when the team needs somebody to show up. I know that it was rough for him to set out as much of football as he did, and as talented as he is at football and soccer, I know that he's got a soft spot for basketball. So that was tough on him this season. I know that it was a big boost to his morale to get a little play in towards the end there, and then roll his way out to us and kind of adjust to a different sport, different movements. We started him off about half speed, but you know him. As soon as he hits that game field and that whistle blows, that young man is full speed. He's fun to watch. He's fun to watch.
No, it's good to have him back, and and like you said, these players have come in and kind of helped out. Now, as some folks may not know, you were previously at Bluffton High School, the head coach there for the Bobcats. How has your time at Bluffton and the success that you guys had there during your era there helped you transition into John Paul II and kind of continue where you left off at Bluffton, if we're being frank here? How was your time at Bluffton helpful in helping you now where you are at John Paul with this program?
I'll be honest with you. There's a special place in my heart for Bluffton High School. I learned how to be a coach there, to be honest with you. That was my first ever varsity coaching gig. And I mean, for all the players that I've coached there throughout the years, I mean, there was about 3 different Coach Foxes that as I kind of molded and ran into new mentors and had different athletes and just kind of tried on different styles to see what fit me the best as a coach. And to be honest with you, the seamless transition has everything to do with the relationship building piece. I mean, what I was able to do in the last 5 years at Bluffton with some of those groups of young men, the way that we were able to come together off the field and away from the shining lights of the Tuesday and Friday games, sweating together, talking together, crying together, in training and in classrooms and in devotional sessions and stuff like that. When I really put that into action and gave up a day a week to sit down and talk about what it means to be a better teammate and things like that instead of lace up boots. And then, other coaches are skeptical to do it. There were, to be honest, a lot of my players were skeptical, but we all kind of just committed to it. And you saw the results. It was a lot bigger than winning. What I was seeing with the boys was a lot bigger than winning games and region titles and things like that. And that's the easiest thing. You can take that anywhere. I mean, I use those same tactics in my classroom when I'm teaching English. So I think to be honest with you, yeah, I owe a lot of who I am to Bluffton High School because I grew up as a teacher and as a coach there, and to be able to bring that into a different locker room, not only a different locker room, but from a public school to a private school. That was one thing that I thought, well, okay, this is going to be a big challenge for me. This is a new challenge. These are kids that don't live in the same neighborhoods. These are kids that didn't grow up together. These are kids that just all happen to be going to the same private school. And it's interesting. I realized real quick that it's quite the community, which with a much smaller school like that, they have the opportunity to come together and build those relationships a lot more often within the parameters of a school day. And with the house system they have competitions and games. So I was actually just talking to one of my injured athletes the other day, Peter Tornice. He just fresh off a wrestling state championship, nursing an injury. And I get a lot of time to chat with him because he shows up at training every day like a good teammate does. And I was picking his brain about that. And I mentioned how close they all were. And he said that it has a lot to do with the fact that we got a lot of juniors and seniors that have been together for a really long time at this school. So it's been a different set of challenges as far as SCISA and the private school students go. But it's been a welcome one because same toolbox, same tools, right?
Absolutely. Josh Fox, the head coach of the John Paul II Golden Warriors, here with us on Lowco FC. Coach, you've been a big part of South Coastal FCA and FC over the years. How has that helped, inspire this group of student athletes to be uplifted by the Christian faith and to be motivated to, put your best foot forward and, have that mission, have that purpose for what you do on a daily basis?
I'll be honest, I'm so happy that you brought up the FCA right on the tail end of Bluffton, because Bluffton is where I ended up. And there was the people at Bluffton who kind of steered me in the direction at FCA. My first athletic director, the first guy who ever said, hey, you know what? You've never coached a varsity sport before. You can have the job. Dave Adams took a chance on me, and I was at an interesting spot in my faith when I was young, when I first started off teaching and coaching. I was going through some personal trauma. I lost my father. I lost a friend before I moved down here, things like that. Adversity type thing. And Dave really pushed me in the direction of the FCA, and he finally got me into a meeting, and I sat down, and Misa, you might remember the name Naomi McCracken. Mm-hmm. She was quite the girl standout in the area for a while. But she gave her testimony, and all the hairs on my arm stood up, and I said, okay, I'm in the right spot. And through FCA, I got linked up with Wayne Quinlan. And Wayne Quinlan was a longtime rival of mine. I used to Bluffton versus Hilton Head, in the days before May River. Driving across that bridge was the rivalry game. And I remember screaming and hollering as a young coach and looking across the field and seeing Wayne sitting back with his arms crossed and leaning back on the bench, and his boys were just doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. And I started to pick his brain, and he handed me a book called Kings and Coaches, and he pointed me in the direction of using faith and relationships to coach boys' hearts and minds before you coach their bodies. And honestly, it worked. It stuck. All of it. It changed the way I lived. It changed the way I taught. It changed the way that I coached. It changed the way that I fathered. And it was cool. So the FCA, I owe a lot of what I am to the FCA. I actually just sat down in our morning huddle this past Wednesday and listened to a student give a Devo. So the FCA is such an incredible program. It's so cool, the work that they do in our schools. You can't go a week without bumping into Rob or Zach or Caroline or Lisa. Somebody on that crew is around just loving on our kids. So the FCA is what an incredible resource for our area schools to have, public and private.
Yeah, absolutely. And small tidbit, Coach Quillen gave me the same exact book when I started coaching when I was at Beaufort High. So small circle here.
Did you look at him and he was a little crazy at first? You're like, this is where all these wins came from?
No, because he and I had chatted before, because my godbrother played for him in the state championship team.
Okay, so it makes sense.
I knew a little bit. And then, of course, I had Coach Rollins, who was my mentor.
Yep.
And, him and Quillen cut from the same cloth. So it was kind of just like, oh, okay, this is a Hilton Head version of what I'm getting at Beaufort. But speaking on that, right, we're talking about Coach Quinlan, and he's of a previous area. He's still around here. Now you're kind of one of the elder men here when it comes to coaching in soccer in the Lowcountry, and I can't speak too much because I'm not too far behind you. How does it feel for you seeing the next generation of coaches and the coaches we have now in the programs where they are both public and private, and what you're seeing given the time that you've been here coaching soccer in the Lowcountry?
Oh, we were chatting the other day, Misa, you and I told you one of my first memories of soccer in the Lowcountry is standing in the parking lot at Bluffton High. Well, you and Rollins had probably just run us over, or vice versa. Either way, we know it was physical. But this is 15 years ago, talking about the talent that we have in the area and what we need to do, and if there were just more coaches. And fast forward 15 years, and we have the coaches and the talents there. I remember just before May River opened, I think it was 2 years before y'all, maybe a year or two before May River opened up, Dave Adams was asking around, hey, how's your program going to look? When this school splits, how's the program going to look? And I just laughed. I was like, I haven't even looked at the lines, Dave. I'll be 100% honest with you. We have enough soccer players in this school to field 2 top 10 4A teams. And then May River opened, and before you knew it, we had 2 top 10 4A teams, and not to mention the damage that the area is doing in Skeeza. It's incredible the talent that we have around here, and that has a lot to do with the clubs and the opportunities that these kids get to play year round, the opportunities that they get to travel and things like that. But I also think that we got some really good coaches in place. You're absolutely right as far as that goes. We got a couple of eldermen right here holding down some decent jobs, taking care of kids. And it's not just one thing about you. You're not just taking care of your kids, Misa. You're out here getting these kids' names out every single time you guys do one of these podcasts. Every time I talk to you, you got something good to say about a player or a coach in the area. And I think that's pretty like-minded as far as the area goes. I really like Kyle over at Bluffton High. He's been what a great addition that has been to the program. I bumped into him before we had a match with him earlier in the year, and I was talking to him on the field, and the first thing I said was thank you. The boys are walking the halls, they're happy. There's a strong team on the field, and you seem to be getting along. And I feel like that's the case with a lot of the programs around here. The real question is who's going to take over for you and I in Rawlins when we get too old to do this anymore, you know?
Yeah, we're going to have the next generation step up and continue the great work that you all have done. But Josh Fox, once again, John Paul II, soccer coach here on Lowco FC, and mentioned your strong start here in 2023, but some big games ahead, home against Beaufort High on Tuesday, 28th, and then at Hilton Head Prep. So a big stretch coming up. What are you most looking forward to the challenges ahead with some strong Lowco opponents?
You just said it. It's the challenges. It's the challenges that I'm most looking forward to. We got it. We took a couple lumps on Friday night. We got a couple injuries right now to actually some key players. And you know, I've been praying for them, and I've been in contact with them. Their heads are in the right spot, which tells me that their teammates have been pouring into them, and they got the right attitude. That's the kind of attitude we need. It's adversity time. You know, we're halfway in, we're rolling. You know darn well that we're going to take a lump or two, whether that be another injury, whether that be a loss that we don't expect. And to be honest, those are the things that I look forward to. Because I coach these boys up to be ready for those types of things to happen. So I like to see how we play when we're tired. I like to see how we play when we're bored. I like to see how we play when we're rolling and we think we can't get beat. Because once you get to the playoffs, there's anything can happen. You know, everybody shows up. They play the game for a reason. I'm looking forward to the public schools on the schedule. I love playing against Beaufort. You know, you're going to get a tough physical game. They're going to give our boys everything that they're worth and then some, and they usually do. We always keep Christian Academy circled, no matter what. I've learned real quick over here at John Paul that Christian Academy is that rivalry game, especially soccer, because traditionally I've been in the area for a long time, and Christian Academy has won a lot of soccer games. So it's been cool to step into that and to be a part of that. So, yeah, like I said, I'm just looking forward to seeing what my boys are made of, because this is when we find it out. Anybody can coach through an injury-free first half of a season.
Yeah, so I'm going to shift gears here a little bit. So, Coach Fox, you know, we've always been involved in some coaching controversies and refereeing controversies, right? So there was a clip of the Bluffton girls versus James Island game, the big upset that our Bluffton girls had over James Island. And we actually have the clip. So I want to get your thoughts as the coach on the receiving end of a questionable call by the referee, and also the coach on the gifting end where you are the beneficiary of a referee decision. So we're going to roll the clip, and I want you to be honest. Now, to be full disclosure, I've talked with Coach McCarthy about this clip, so what you hear is what you see here is what you're going to hear, what I've said before. But I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. Let's roll the clip.
Let's get that.
That's what happens when we're live, guys.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Hey, it's our first live Lowco FC show, so you get the kinks out of the way. But here we go.
The West
So, for those who may not know what happened, we're going to do it again here. Referee blows a whistle. Referee continues to play, and then the referee gives the goal. So, referee blows a whistle for what looked like a foul. If it was a foul or not, we can sit here on that and discuss. Referee blows a whistle. Player continues playing the ball. Goal is scored. Referee allows the goal to stand. Coach Fox, what are you thinking and what are you doing if you are on the opposite bench of that call?
I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm going straight into damage control. The first person I'm gonna look at is my assistant coach, and I'm gonna give him one of these numbers, and I'm gonna walk over to my bench, and I'm gonna explain to them a lesson that I learned long ago. I have never seen or heard a referee uncall a call. We are going to control what we can control. That is our attitude. That is our effort. That is our emotions. Did we get allegedly done dirty? Maybe, maybe not. Did a whistle blow? Yeah, a whistle definitely blew. But the fact of the matter is when they left, and the result was the result. So you go into damage control, really. I think that's some of that adversity I was talking about. That's an opportunity to if you spin it the right way, that's an opportunity to galvanize your team.
And I love your philosophy on this, because you guys have certainly been through that adversity before, and even going all the way to that state title game, coming up short. I mean, that's a lesson in of itself. What do you tell your team, and what are you hoping they take with that after the long playoff run, just coming up short?
I'll tell you what, I've come up short twice. Let's not forget that. I want to make that known to the viewers. I'm a 2-time state runner-up, public and private. I'll be honest with you, I have a hard time looking at it like coming up short. Coach, you know as well as I do, it is a lot harder to get to that game than it is to win that game. Once you show up at that game, anything can happen, because at the end of the day, those boys in the other uniforms that coach with the different hat on than you put in every bit as much work and made it through every bit as much adversity as your team did, or else they wouldn't be there. So coming up short like that, I think with the way that I coach and the way that I try to bring a group together. I mean, when I got on that bus after we lost to Berea at Bluffton, I had to talk to chat with the reporters after a loss, chat with a principal, and it was a tough loss. And I got on the bus, and my last thing, my head is, all right, damage control, let's go. And I got on that bus, and those boys were smiling. Those boys had their arms around each other. Those boys, I was looking at a group full of kids that understood how special what they just did was, no matter what end of the scoreboard it was. And it was funny because I didn't know if I could do that again. I didn't know if that was like lightning in a bottle type of stuff. And last year we brought a group there, and there's going to be some frustration. There was definitely some frustration. We got there. We played against a really tough Oak Brook Prep team. I mean, that was a solid squad. I was talking to the reporter after the game, and I think, me, I don't scout anything. I don't watch film. That clip y'all just showed me, that's the most film I've watched this season right there.
He's not lying.
And he said to me, this is a tough Oak Brook squad. This is their 4th state title in 5 years or something like that. I was like, oh, well, then I feel pretty good about what we just did. I didn't realize we were running into a buzzsaw like this. And my boys were able to look at it the same way. My boys were able to understand that what they accomplished was something that no group of kids had ever accomplished at John Paul II. And they made a lot of people really proud. They showed up, and they showed up every day, and they showed out. And you know what? They didn't lose for lack of effort. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, a lot of things have to go right for one team, and some things go wrong for another team. And that's what happened. So, you walk out of it holding your head high, because only 2 teams got to play in a game that day. That's what you got to remind them. We're the last 2 teams in the state in our classification playing soccer today. There's something to be said for that.
Absolutely. And you said something important about, when you're dealing with adversity and doing damage control. The funny thing about that clip is, like I said, I spoke with Coach McCarthy about it, and I spoke with other coaches about it, and it was one of those where how do you deal with the situation afterwards? And something that I was very impressed with from what Coach McCarthy told me with his relationship with the James Island coach is that both teams continue playing hard. That wasn't the last score of the game. Both teams continue fighting and just play through it. And then afterwards, you know, you do what you got to do afterwards. But it was impressive to see both coaches and both programs after a very difficult game, just being able to come here and say, hey, it is what it is. We're going to do our part on our end, and we're going to continue playing forward. But something you said, it's one thing that you've always been known for is the relationships, right? You are a relationship guy. You build relationships with your players even after they've graduated and after they finished playing soccer. What is it about relationships that you feel is very important in what we do as coaches, not just in soccer, but in every sport, that it's so important for us to have a relationship with players? And why have you always been so focused on that as a priority, that we need to build a relationship with these kids?
Because at the end of the day, what's more important than people? You know, at the end of the day, what's more important than people? I had a kind of a rough go coming up. I battled with a lot of different issues. Some of them out of my control. Some of them I created, you know. I didn't have the easiest childhood. And one thing that I never had was honestly, I didn't have too many teachers or coaches ever look at me and say, hey, Fox, you good? And I would kind of kept stumbling through stuff and stumbled through college and couldn't figure out what I needed to grab onto, things like that. And I had to make a decision on what I want to be when I grow up. And I realized that I never had somebody look at me and be like, hey, man, you good? So I figured, hey, I can be that guy. And that kind of led me to becoming a teacher, and it led me to becoming a coach, and being in a public school, teaching in a public school the size of Bluffton. You realize that I wasn't the only kid that never had anybody look at me and said, hey, you good? There's a lot of kids out there that don't hear I love you too often. And it's crazy because I've never looked at myself as a talented educator whatsoever, but I'm good at relationships. And I've seen what just relationships can do for me as an educator. So then you bring that into a locker room with you. And I don't consider myself a soccer coach. I've told you this a million times. I mean, if I want to come up with a new formation, or if the guys I have aren't going to work with whatever I did last year, man, I'm going on FIFA and I'm watching the tutorials on the formations. I mean, I don't scout. I look at guys, okay, you can fit here, you like to play here, you like to play here. But if I can make you happy, it doesn't matter where you're playing. If you're happy being a part of this, it doesn't matter where you're playing. And at the end of the day, if I can put my focus on pouring into you and making you a better husband, making you a better father, making you a better employee, making you a better man, then the rest of it, winning's a byproduct of all those things. Because if you can be a better man, you're going to take a little bit more pride in what you do. You're going to work a little bit harder for the guys around you. You're going to have a little bit more stake in the game. I don't know. It makes sense to me, and it's simple. You don't have to go to school to learn it. You just have to wake up and treat people the right way.
Yeah, well, the results definitely show it on and off the field. So once again, we are here live Lowco FC podcast with Coach Fox, current head coach of the John Paul II Golden Warriors boys varsity soccer team. So, Coach, before we let you go, there's something we do here with every guest. It's called the penalty shootout. You talked about pressure. You talked about adversity. You talked about, damage control. Look, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. They're going to be difficult. They're going to be tough. I didn't prep you, for the record. I don't prep my guests for this. And we want your honest answer, as honest as you can be. Are you ready?
I think I know how to be. Let's hear him.
All right. Question number 1. What is Coach Fox's favorite soccer team?
I'll be honest with you, whatever team I'm coaching at the time. So right now it's the 2023 version of the John Paul II Golden Warriors. Okay.
All right. Question number 2. Who is your all-time favorite player?
Man, we talking about kids I've coached, or are we just talking about soccer players?
Up to you.
Because I'll be honest with you, I've watched a lot more kids I've coached than soccer on television. I got to give Brendan Kelly a shout out, man. Every time I watch BK Magic take the field, I got the goosies a little bit. He's my all-time favorite.
Yeah, shout out to Brendan Kelly. Great guy. He's out here. He's still in the area. Out here doing his thing as a grown man now.
Oh, every now and then I catch breakfast with him. He is a grown man. I'm proud of that boy.
He is. Question number 3. What is your best soccer coaching memory?
Oh, probably that moment when I stepped up on the bus after losing the state championship game and seeing those boys in the headspace that they were in probably one of the bigger letdowns that they'd ever, probably the biggest letdown that they'd ever experienced as athletes. That, or one time we won the airport select invitational and the whole team picked me up and threw me up in the air and did that thing at the end. I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of cool. I thought that only happened on movies.
No, that happened in real life. Question number 4. What is your funniest soccer coaching memory? That one. We want that one right there.
I can't even think of one, because I'll tell you what, if you've ever coached if you've ever been on the other side of the field from me, I giggle all day long. The funniest one, man, there's a lot of swings and misses by goalies, but I'm not going to name drop anybody. No, I can't say anything. Nothing hops out. If something happens, I'll give you guys a call, though. I promise you. I'm sure that my players got a lot more to say on this than I do, but I spend my time enjoying life, so all the funnies just get cataloged.
Yeah, and just to show you guys how crazy it is, the last time we played Mayweather and Bluffton your last year, it was 4-3 final. Our players had a competition who have the best celebrations amongst all the goals. So each player is celebrating on each other's benches, and people thought we were going to fight. We're like, no, we're enjoying this. We're loving this. And Fox, Austin, myself, we're all just laughing, judging away. That was great. So
anytime the boys can have fun, we're doing something right.
Yep. So last question, no pressure whatsoever. What is Coach Fox's favorite movie of all time?
Whew. Man, if we're going comedy, it's Talladega Nights. I mean, I'll be honest with you, this entire time I've got this going on. I don't know what to do with my hands. At Talladega Nights, if we're going comedy, but if we got to go serious, I love The Departed. I love some good characters. I love some twists and turns.
How many players on your current squad do you think have watched either of those movies?
Whew. Talladega Nights might be decent because Will Ferrell's still got a little bit of clout with the young crowd. The number for The Departed is 0 because I've asked him before. But Talladega Nights, I'm guessing maybe 10 of them.
Well, some great answers there, Coach. And this was a pleasure having you on. Fantastic interview. Thank you so much. And we wish you all the best as you get ready for another couple busy weeks ahead and great end of your season.
I really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been awesome chatting soccer with y'all. One of my favorite things to do in season is chat soccer with people who I don't chat soccer with every day. So you guys keep doing what you're doing. Keep getting these kids' names out there. And, keep it positive. We appreciate you guys.
That's why I do it, Coach. Thank you again. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll take a short break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with more here on Lowco FC.
Hey, Lowco sports fans. This podcast and all of our grassroots local sports content are made possible by support from community sponsors, including Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of Lowco Sports, and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. Our original sponsors are still among our greatest supporters. Ryan and Tiffany Mickelson are community pillars who will be in your corner no matter your legal needs. When you need legal representation, call on the attorneys who support Team Lowco. Call Mickelson Law Firm. Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of Lowco Sports, and the only not-for-profit hospice in southern Beaufort County. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry have been there to ensure your loved ones find comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life. Because at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, it's not about dying, it's about living. Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Lowco Sports. Jan Lucas and his team provide thorough, detailed home inspections aimed to ensure everyone goes into the transaction with open eyes and confidence. Jan would rather reveal an inconvenient truth than look the other way and provide reassurances that could come back to burn the buyer in the long run. If you're looking to buy or sell a home and need an honest, reliable inspector, call on Homegrown Home Inspections, official sponsors of Lowco Sports. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. If your business or organization has a website and you're trying to figure out what SEO is, you need to call on Denise and Dave Sinkovich at DDS Web Design. They'll provide a free consultation and do all the behind-the-scenes work to boost your search engine optimization and get your website found online so you can take your business to the next level. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. American Wood Reface, sustaining sponsors of Lowco Sports. Does your kitchen need a facelift? Before you start picking out new cabinets, give Ben and the team at American Wood Reface a shot. They can reface your existing cabinets to overhaul your aesthetic without the hefty price tag and reimagine your kitchen at a price point you can manage. Be sure to tell them Lowco sent you, because every referral helps support Lowco Sports. 4M Metals, sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports. Got metal? Your roof might need it. Metal roofing advantages include better energy efficiency, weather protection, longevity, a more aesthetically pleasing design, and the product is all green. So if you've been thinking about a new roof, go metal. Let 4M Metals be the difference in your roof. Jay's Barbershop. It's the talk of the town and the place to be in Ridgeland. If you need your ears lowered, head over to Jay's for a fresh cut and great conversation with good folks. And tell them Lowco sent you. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling some of the best pies in the Lowco, and my kids say the mac and cheese is the best around. Hungry? Hit up Local Pie, longtime supporter of Lowco Sports. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry, the official floor cleaners of Lowcosports.com. If your feet tell you your floors need cleaning, call on Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. They provide residential and commercial services, including cleaning carpet and area rugs, tile and grout, upholstery, curtains and drapes, mattresses, and more. But most importantly, they'll get those floors so clean, your feet will thank them. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. Hilton Head Prep is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we tell you all about the Dolphins' athletic exploits. But did you know it's also the #1 ranked private K-12 school in Beaufort County and ranks in the top 2.5% of schools nationwide? Visit hhprep.org to see what Hilton Head Prep has to offer. Beaufort Academy is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we love covering the Eagles. With a student-to-faculty ratio of 7-1 and an average class size of 14 students, Beaufort Academy could be just the educational solution you're looking for, with more one-on-one attention. BA has a strong history of working with the whole child to prepare each student for college and life. Check them out at BeaufortAcademy.org. Thank you to all of our sustaining and supporting sponsors for their support of LowcoSports.com. Go Lowco!
And we are back here on Lowco FC, talking all things soccer in the South Carolina Lowcountry. First, Misa, what a fantastic interview that was. And I always talk about in our several podcasts. I mean, coming out of one, this is one of our best interviews yet. And this one might take the cake once again. Just a phenomenal and inspirational interview and some great messages in that discussion with Coach Fox.
Yeah, definitely. I've had the pleasure of knowing Coach Fox, like we said, over a decade now. Met him through coaching with the strong Beaufort versus Bluffton rivalry soccer games we had when I came into a JV game. And I've had the pleasure of knowing him since. Our relationship has grown since the first time we met. And what you saw tonight is what you get from him everywhere. It doesn't matter if you run into him in the classroom, in the store, if you call him on the phone or on the field. That is who he is. That is why he's been so successful, not just on the field, but off the field, because of his philosophy, his ideals, and his beliefs. He is strong, firm on those things, and he pushes it out there to his students. So definitely, I think that's one of the best ones we've had in Lowco FC. So very glad that he was able to join us and share his wisdom and his story with us. I think that was phenomenal.
Fantastic. And before we move on, you had something you'd like to say?
Yeah. We're live. So, thank you to all those of you who are tuning in. I know if you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I don't know if you're pirating this broadcast. If you are, we really appreciate you taking the time to pirate process. But had a few guys I saw, Coach Jesse, Stratford boys head coach over at Stratford in South Carolina. He's a real cool dude. I'm glad he's tuning in and watching. Congrats. He had a huge win, region win over Wando this past week. So I know he's in a very, very good mood. Jacob Monzon I saw as well. He's a former player of mine and club. He was also a Hilton Head legend at Hilton Head High School. And then Dan Waymont, the legend himself. He is a coaching legend around here. So good to see you guys. And everyone else who's watching, please comment in the section. This is how we know we're live. We are actually acknowledging the commenters I'm seeing on Facebook. So keep supporting. If you are a sponsor, you just saw all those sponsors, we'd love to have you. Lowco FC only sponsor, so we can get renewed for season 3. So Weston don't get fired. But yeah, thanks all for watching and tuning into our first ever live broadcast.
We appreciate all of you and all that you do to help support us and support soccer and local sports here across our area. So thank you, and we appreciate all of you tuning in here tonight. And let's kick it around, Misa. Let's talk about all the action on the soccer pitch across the Lowco. And let's start real quick with Region 740 on the boys and girls side. The parity that we see within this region, it just gets better year in and year out, especially on the girls side. I mean, we got 5 really quality sides, and Lucy Beckham, Bluffton, James Island, May River, and Hilton Head. And it's going to go down to the wire to determine those playoff scenes and who makes it in and who misses out. But really excited to see how that continues to play out. And on the boys side, it's getting tough all the way around so far, tooth and nail. Bluffton right there at 3-1, a game back of James Island, who's sitting pretty at 4-0 so far. But Hilton Head, May River right there at 2-2. So I'm expecting it to be a dogfight throughout the rest of the season. May River picking up they took care of business at home on Tuesday against Colleton County in an 8-0 win. I was there for that one. Really impressive stuff there. And then a tough one against Hilton High in penalty kicks, tied 1-1 after full time, and then Hilton wins 5-3 in penalties. But a terrific game, and a lot to learn from both sides in that matchup.
Yeah, no, like you said, we've talked about it before the season that this region is going to be tough. I believe it's tougher than we imagined. If you look at the girls' games that you're seeing right now, the girls' standings for Region 7-4A, you have literally a game separating the 2 seed, 3 and 4 seed. Hilton Head is not far behind with 1 and 3. With that could change in games, but look at the results of this game. Aside from the Lucy Beckham Bluffton result, the games have been very, very, very close. We saw about May River girls, in the same week, losing to James Island 1-0 at home, then on the road, then going home, losing the Beckham 2-1. But then they turn around and they beat Hilton Head 1-0. Tough games all around. Same thing with Bluffton, Hilton Head, and penalty shootouts. Bluffton girls beating James Island. As we said earlier, Lucy Beckham, James Island did not finish their game this past Friday due to a serious player injury that could the game had to be stopped and was not continued that night. But it's looking to be tough as we imagine. And on the boys' side, it's just as close. James Island right now, it's undefeated 4-0. Bluffton is right behind 3-1. May River, Hilton Head, Lucy Beckham, right? All those teams. James Island just beat Lucy Beckham Friday night, 1-0. As you said, we lost in penalty shootouts to Hilton Head in overtime at the Nest. The games have been close. Even if you look at the results on the boys' side, Lucy Beckham beat Hilton Head 2-1. Hilton Head lost to Bluffton 2-0. The games are really, really close. So it's going to be pretty much just a dogfight until the very end. And any given night, who knows what can happen. But we are not surprised by what we're seeing. We thought it was going to be this tough, and it looks to be very, very tough. And we're still not even in the halfway point. We got big games coming up this week. I think Bluffton and May River, we play Friday night for the boys and girls. Lucy Beckham is playing Bluffton boys and girls Wednesday night as well. So it's going to be very interesting how it pans out as we get heading into our spring break, into the final first half of the season for this region.
Yeah, the Bluffton Derby coming up. Really excited for that one on both the boys and the girls' side. But, man, you just look at the way this region is shaping out in Hilton Head. That's a quality team on the girls' side, and a couple of really close losses, penalty kicks to Bluffton, lost 1-0 to I believe Beckham. Another 1-0 loss to May Rivers. So that's really tough for the Seahawks team that they've been competing hard against some really good squad, but now they're going to have to really work if they want to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before historically, right? Some of these games, especially with the Charleston teams, James Allen, Lucy Beckham, the games have not been close when they play teams on our side of the low country over here. And this year we're in the complete opposite. So I think it's a credit to the talent that's rising here in our area with May River. They have a brand new coach. They're doing really well with Coach Moldenhauer now taking over from Coach Serpy, who retired from the Coach River Girls. Hilton Head Girls, like you said, right now you look at the record, they're 1-3, but the games are so close. They're so close, and losing close games like that can help you. It's difficult if you lose close games because it can go one way or the other, but I think they're going to continue playing hard. Bluffed them with the big win over James Island. Look at the non-region schedule. James Island, Lucy Beckham had a very strong non-region start. Historically, you would think that those two are going to be the clear 1-2, and they're going to duke it out for region. But now it's looking like you have 5 teams that could very well, any given night, win games, and then we can have a very, very fun and exciting, because I'm not coaching on the girls' side, race for the 4 playoff spots. Because be mindful, 4 teams get into the playoffs from this region. There is not a 15 that can get into the playoffs as far as I know. And last year, 3 of the 4 teams that were in the lower state semifinals came from this region. So we brag about this being the toughest girls region in the state for a reason, and it's definitely stepping up to that name and that recognition so far this season.
It's not easy to make it out. Only 4 teams are able to push onwards, and I mean, if you're able to get out of this region, I mean, you are being battle tested, and you are ready for whatever will face you next in the playoffs. And you just, I think having that, the iron sharpens iron mentality of all these local squads, region squads facing off each other, just makes them all, even better. And it's going to be tough for anyone to go against them as against the playoffs. And there's a reason why all these teams tend to go deep from Region 7-4A once you get into the postseason, and could have some rematches in the playoffs. So really excited to see how these region races unfold, and to see who makes it and which seed they end up in. So going to be a heck of a fun second half of this Lowco soccer calendar. And then also some good things brewing in Region 8-3A or over in 3A for Beaufort High. The boys 3-1 so far in region play. They split a 2-game series with Philip Simmons, and that's never an easy opponent. That's an underrated region as well. So good to see the way this Beaufort boys team is handling the season so far. To hand-to-hand 2-0, so a strong start. Although they've only played 2 matches, we'll see how they do against the best in terms of this region. But it's gonna be a battle there as well. And then on the girls' side, what can you say about Quinn Wilson and her prowess in goal, and how she can absolutely steal games with her net, and that's what's gonna have to take for this Beaufort High girls team to make a run. But man, it's been really fun to watch the ability of Quinn Wilson between the pipes.
Yeah, no, shout out to Coach Rollins and the boys program. He's actually commented, so I think he's watching now. So Coach Rollins, shout out to supporting us. They split the season series against Philip Simmons. Like we said before, the way their region schedule works is they play the same team twice in the same week. So they get those games on the way. And in preseason, Philip Simmons was a top 5 team, and they're still a top 5 team. And the coaches poll just came out earlier today. Beaufort is number 5 in that poll as well. And they played a very tough game, split the series. Beaufort won the game at the Nest at home in Beaufort, and then they went on the road and lost a tough matchup to Philip Simmons. But they bounced back this week, beating their in-town rivals, Battery Creek, comfortably 5-0 and 9-2, I believe. So they kind of are right there with Philip Simmons. It's going to come down to, if they finish tied. I don't know what the region tiebreaker system is over there, but it's going to come down where both are going to be focused. And it looks like those two in hand-to-hand coming in. We're going to see how they match up against Beaufort and Philip Simmons when they get around the schedule. But yeah, Quinn Wilson for the girls, they had a very tough start to the region with Philip Simmons, but they bounced back from that as well. And as we know, Quinn Wilson, a D1 commit, and a great goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers in the state, in my opinion. She's going to do what she needs to do to keep those girls in what's going to be a competitive region race where they're still in it, right? They lost both games to Philip Simmons, but with soccer, you never know what can happen. So they're going to have to win out to get a 2 seed or higher and get a home playoff game in the first round. But with Quinn Wilson in goal, it's always possible to win those games. So as long as she's in goal, Buford has definitely a chance to get in the region, finish high, finish strong, and then make a playoff run as well.
Strong goalkeeping can be the great equalizer in soccer, and Quinn Wilson certainly has those abilities. So excited to see her and the Eagles as they continue competing this year. So lots to like in Class 3A for both those Buford sides as we move further into the season. I mean, we talked about Buford, and sometimes you get battle tested early, sometimes you get the bulk of the schedule late, but splitting with Philip Simmons, that's absolutely huge to take one of two from a very solid opponent, and even the second game losing 1-0, you're very competitive on the road and nearly pulled it out. So excellent job there from the Eagles. Took care of business against Battery Creek, 2-game sweep, 5-0 and 9-2. Pair of dominant wins, and then now you turn your focus to North Charleston and Hanahan, which should be a pair of very interesting games and very important games. So I like how Buford is trending this year on the boys' side, and the girls. I think it goes as far as Quinn Wilson goes, and the rest of the way that defense can play if they can find a way to make her life a little easier and find a way to get that goal or two to put them over the top. So. Certainly always a sleeper with Wilson's play. You have a top college coming in there. As you mentioned, anything's possible with them. So good stuff over there for the Beaver High Eagles. And then how about the Ridgeland boys, undefeated in their region play so far? So a nice start for the Jags this year.
Yeah, no, they had a good season last year. We recall we interviewed their coach last year on the great season that they had. Unfortunately, lost in the second round, I believe, of the 2A playoffs. 2A this year, it's very difficult with the likes of Oceanside, Magnet, Bishop England, great collegiate. So it's going to be very difficult, but they are taking care of business in their region. They have not lost a region game. They beat Woodland earlier this week, and the second game has to get rescheduled, got canceled. But it looks like they're in a good place where they could potentially win the region. Wade Hampton is kind of coming along now. They swept Wade Hampton. Wade Hampton has won a few games as well. So shout out to Wade Hampton boys as well for coming along and kind of having a tough early start to the season and kind of finding themselves and coming along as well. But Ridgeland right now is the top dog in that region. And it's interesting because in 3A and 4A, playoffs are seeded based on where you finish in the region, right? So region finish is very important for us in 4A. That's why we're so big on getting the top two seeds, because that guarantees you at least a first round playoff game. But in 2A, it is kind of like the March Madness. We've got the March Madness going on right now. They actually have a committee that meets and they seed the teams based on different factors, win, strength of schedule, whatever may have you. So it's interesting to see if they continue with this great season that they're having, where they're 4-1, 3-0 in the region, and they're winning good competitive games and doing so in a comfortable manner, how that will help them. Because I think one of the biggest issues you're going to have is their strength of schedule. They don't have many games on the schedule right now. They don't have many non-region opponents and strong non-region opponents, and that could be a detriment when it comes to the seeding meeting for 2A playoffs. So hopefully they're able to get some more games and against some stronger competition to kind of help them, get ready for playoffs, because they're going to play some very strong teams, but also boost their resume for the playoff seeding committee. But so far, they're doing great. It looks like they could potentially win the region, and that'll be really good for that program, the turnaround they've had in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's remarkable, especially when you think back to the year in 2020-21 where they did not have athletics because of COVID. They took the year off, and now coming back out there and doing what they've been doing on the field. We've seen it, on the basketball court, the football field, the inspired play that they've had through all their sports. It's it's been really cool to see, and more power to them. And just really, really proud of the track record that they've been on. And Ridgeland, we see going forward, the split between Ridgeland and Hardyville. Now Ridgeland, and I'm expected to see as Hardyville comes back into focus as its own entity. I expect, a great atmosphere over there for soccer in Ridgeland. So great stuff there for the Jags, and I expect a big season from them going forward once again in 2023. So one thing left to do here before we say goodnight, and that is to name our 3 stars of the week. We name a goalie, a defender, and a forward. Misa, you will get the first selection here. Who are your 3 stars?
So my 3 stars, I'm going to start with the attack first, and that's going to be Anthony Hill from JPII. We just had Coach Fox on. He is off to a great start to the season, 10 goals and 4 assists, and has been a key factor in what has been a very strong season for the Golden Warriors, especially offensively with the amount of goals that they score. So he is my offensive star of the week. My defensive star of the week is Natalie Freund from May River. She is a fullback. As we said, look at May River's record. Their games have been very close, very defensive-minded games, and she has been phenomenal as a fullback. Talking to Coach Moldenhauer, kind of what they've done this season and how they've fared so far in region play. She's really praised her for her ability to go up in the attack, where she's an attacking fullback, a modern fullback, as we like to call it, where she's not afraid to take on defenders and dribble into space. She's had shots on goal, so she's very attack-minded, but also defensively, she's played every minute in the region so far, and she's done a phenomenal job kind of keeping the attack, especially Lucy Beckham. As we know, they have a very strong attacking team, as you see with their non-region schedule in the Charleston Shootout, winning the Viking Cup, a very strong prestigious girls tournament, and the amount of goals that they average, but holding them to 1 goal, she was a big factor in that and kind of maintaining those crosses coming in against teams. And then my goalkeeper, we spoke about this team earlier this season. They have undefeated. It's Derek Fisher, the goalkeeper for Bridges Prep in 1A. So far, he has 23 saves and has allowed 0 goals.
Even that clean sheet going.
Yep, clean sheet streak. It's probably the longest clean sheet streak definitely here in the Loco. And we'll see how long he's been going. But Bridges Prep's success has been not just on the offensive side, but when you have a keeper that can make saves and not allow any goals, it's very difficult to kind of break that winning streak they've been on. So those are my 3 stars, Wes. Who are yours?
Yeah, so we'll start with my forward, and that's Gwenna Townsend from Bluffton. After a phenomenal upset win over James Island, comeback win 4-3, she scored 2 of those goals. Tremendous effort from that entire team, but Gwenna Townsend was on another level. Fantastic finishing ability as she puts her Bobcats over the top for a statement win against a very, very good Trojans team. So congratulations to Gwenna Townsend on an outstanding performance against the Trojans. For my defender, I'm going to go with the May River boys back line. I was really impressed with what I saw, cleaning up loose balls, that intensity defending, and they really didn't allow any good looks at all for that Colleton County team. And then they continued that strong effort against Hilton, allowing just 1 goal and keeping the Sharks in that game. So a lot of good to like there by the way that your May River boys defense is playing. Very impressed, and hoping that they will keep that same intensity as they continue throughout the rest of what should be a fantastic region slate coming up. And then for my goalkeeper, I'm going to go with the Holy Trinity girls star in Abby Schaub over there at Holy Trinity, recording her 4th shutout of the season and a 2-0 win over Charleston Collegiate. So good stuff there from the Mighty Lions, a program that has been excellent in the past, winning a couple of state titles, and Abby Schaub getting it done between the pipes for the Mighty Lions.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's, again, a program that you said has been very successful the last few years. And it goes to speak something we've talked about throughout the episode today is the depth of talent that we have here in the Lowcountry with our Skeezer schools, with our high school league schools. We have, especially on the girls side, you have Holy Trinity and Skeezer, you have Christian Academy, you have Buford Academy, the Battery Creek girls, Well Branch. I mean, you can go on and on with how much talent and the success that these teams are finding on the boys and girls side. But definitely, we're looking forward to making this more difficult for us to select the 3 stars. So again, coaches, if you have any players you want us to shout out, please contact us. If you don't follow Max Reps, put yourself on Max Reps, reach out to us. You can email us, you can text us, you can DM us, whatever you do. But we definitely want to give shots and recognize the players. And so we would love to have different stars every week. But definitely congrats to the 3 stars that we chose this week from each side. They've done a phenomenal job, and I know it'll continue into the second half of the season as we near that portion of the season.
Well, we got a lot of great matches on tap this week as we look ahead to a huge slate of soccer action. And I'm looking at this schedule. It is jam-packed with some terrific games. Buford, John Paul II, especially on the boys' side. That's going to be terrific. Bluffton, Lucy Beck. And, of course, you have the Bluffton Darty, the Bobcats, and the May River Sharks. Both the girls and boys games should be excellent. JPII Hilton Head Prep coming up on the 31st. And then Hilton Head, James Island, the Seahawks girls team more than capable of taking down the Trojans. Bluffton, maybe they show a blueprint of how it could be done. Maybe the Seahawks can do the same thing and stun James Island. So a lot of great matches ahead coming up in the next few days. Any that you have your eye on particularly?
Well, the Bluffton Derby is near and dear to my heart because we want to beat Bluffton. We always want to beat Bluffton, and we're not satisfied unless we beat Bluffton. Now, you guys know I am fair and unbiased in the Lowco FC podcast, but when it comes to Derby week, that's our big rival. Like Coach Fox said, Coach Newcomb is doing a very great job over there with the Bluffton boys program. They're off to a great start. They're 3-1 in the region. They've won some very impressive non-region games as well. So I think it's going to be a tough matchup for both teams. It'll be fun, and it's kind of just bringing that rivalry back here with Bluffton and Mid River that we've kind of had before, and the intensity of the matchup, and obviously knowing that we are fighting for playoff positions and for a region as well. We're still in it. So that's going to be fun. I'm also curious to see the John Paul II boys versus Buford. Skeeza versus high school league matchup. Buford right now, number 5 in 3A and having a very strong season, as is John Paul. I'm curious to see how that matchup goes. It should be very fun, and definitely should be a great game. And also, like you said, Hilton Head girls and James Island, we kind of want to see what James Island is going to do to respond after that defeat against Bluffton. Again, they played Lucy Beckham to a tie the other night. Now they're curious to see because they are now chasing Lucy Beckham for the region. That's something they're not used to. And with the state champions, when you are the best, you are going to get the best. So they have to be ready to kind of respond and see what Hilton Head does. And Hilton Head as well. What are they going to do with so many close games and going against their favor? Can they finally put it together and get a win, a close win, and kind of just continue making this region race more difficult than it already is? So I'm excited. A lot of good football. So if you're out there watching, go and watch, support. We have plenty of games here locally, some great soccer you can watch, and definitely you can also come out and support all of our local teams who are in action this week here in the Lowco.
And if you're there, turn your phone sideways and give us some footage to put for us on last night in the Lowco and even Lowco FC in the coming weeks. So lots of fantastic soccer on tap, man. It's so fun doing this with you, Coach Misael Garzon. Another episode in the books of Lowco FC. Thank you to Coach Josh Fox. What a fantastic interview once again. One of the best we've ever done throughout any of our podcasts. So inspirational message. Definitely will be looking to watch the replay of this again. So thank you, Coach. And thank you to all of you who joined us here tonight on episode 2 of season 2 here on Lowco FC. And hope to see you back here soon for another show. And can't wait to do this again.
Live. We're live now, guys. Live. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. Just subscribe and unsubscribe and subscribe again. And then rate us, like us, love us, 5 stars, everything. Again, Wes and I don't want to get fired, but thanks for tuning in. If you guys love the live, let us know. We might do it again next time. Who knows?
Well, thanks to all of you once again for tuning in. And until next time, go Lowco.
The Lowco FC podcast is a production of Lowco Media LLC and LowcoSports.com, providing grassroots local sports journalism in the South Carolina Lowcountry. To become a sponsor of this show and market your business or organization to our audience, send email to lowcosports@gmail.com. That's LOWCO sports@gmail.com. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/LowcoSports. Your monthly pledge will help us continue to provide great grassroots local sports journalism. Go Lowco.